So NBA 2K released some updated player ratings for the next version of the game. Topping the list is Finals MVP LeBron James at a 98 overall, well deserving to be the best player in the game. At 97 is Giannis. 96 is Harden. At 95 is KD, Curry, Lillard. And then 94 is Luka. At 93 is Jimmy Butler. At 90 is Kyrie Irving and Jason Tatum. At 89 is Klay Thompson. At 88 is Trae Young, Devin Booker, Paul George, and Donovan Mitchell. At 87 is Rudy Gobert and Jamal Murray. And then at 86 is Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, and Zion Williamson. So those are the player ratings they released today. I just thought I'd react to them, see if I'd make any changes, things like that. So first thing that jumps off the page at me is that Lillard is on the same tier as Curry and KD, and Luka is not on that tier, which I think is a bit disrespectful and a bit ridiculous, to be honest. I can't see Curry being worse or even tied with Lillard after his injury. I mean, you have to assume that he won't be too much worse than he was before the injury. And then Kevin Durant, also you have to assume that he could be 90% of himself, but 90% of Kevin Durant is still better than Damian Lillard. And then Luka, after his great season and his impressive playoff performances, I'm ready to say he's a better player than Damian Lillard and should be rated higher. So if I were to just update the player ratings and with my personal beliefs, I'd have LeBron James at a 97. I don't think this is a peak LeBron season. I think 97 is fair. He's obviously the best player in the league, but he's not the best player in the league by a country mile. And then if I have LeBron James at 97, I'd have Giannis and Kawhi Leonard, whose rating has not yet to be released, at a 96. And then at a 95, I'd have Harden, Durant, Curry, Luka, and Anthony Davis. I think that's probably fair, given that we don't completely know what KD and Curry are going to look like after the injuries, but Kevin Durant, if he's playing well, definitely has the potential to move up to 96 alongside Giannis and Kawhi. And then for Lillard, Jimmy Butler's a 93. I think it's probably fair to put Lillard on that same tier. So have Jimmy and Lillard at 93 overall. Then a couple of players whose rating haven't been released is Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. And I think Jokic obviously had a great playoffs, coming back from 3-1 twice. I'd definitely put him at a 92, just a tier below Butler and Lillard. I think that's probably fair. And then at a 90, we have Kyrie and Tatum. Obviously, Kyrie has struggled with injuries and chemistry with his teammates and science over the past few years, but he's obviously still a great player. Some of the best handles in the league, a great shooter. I think 90 overall is probably fair for him. And Jason Tatum, a player whose stock went up in the playoffs and in the bubble, played really well. I think 90 is probably also fair for him. And I'd probably have Joel Embiid also at a 90. And then Klay Thompson, an 89. Trae Young, Devin Booker, Paul George, and Donovan Mitchell also are an 88. I would probably have Jamal Murray also at an 88. Averaged 26 points in the playoffs, was instrumental in 2 3-1 comebacks. Him and Mitchell in the first round were just going off. And I think putting them on an 88, the same rating as someone like Devin Booker, who's obviously played a bit better in the regular season, but is yet to even make the playoffs. And then Paul George, one of the big losers of the bubbles, whose stock has fallen off a cliff. I mean, 88, I think that's probably fair. You could probably maybe put him at an 89, but really did not perform well in the playoffs. And then a couple players who 2K are yet to reveal the ratings are Bradley Beal. I'd probably put him at an 88, 89. I think he's probably better than all of Trae Young, Booker, Paul George, and Donovan Mitchell. But I don't think he's good enough to crack 90. Another player who didn't play particularly well in the playoffs and obviously struggled with injury a bit is Russell Westbrook. I can't see him being a 90. I think probably an 89 is a fair rating for Westbrook because I still think he's better than Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker, but isn't quite in the top tier anymore. Rudy Gobert an 87. It'll be interesting to see what Bam Adebayo's rating is. Obviously played so well in the playoffs. Had that huge block on Jason Tatum. I'd like to see him at an 88. Even maybe an 89, but I think probably an 88 on the same tier as Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell. And then Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker both at an 86. Think that's pretty spot on. Maybe Kemba could be an 87, but I think probably an 86 is fair. And then the cover athlete of the Next Gen edition, Zion Williamson at an 86. It'll be interesting to see what Ja Morant's rating is. Obviously, I think Zion is probably the better player, but Ja Morant played much better last year. Obviously was the rookie of the year. Almost led Memphis to the playoffs. I don't think they'll give him an 86, but he should be at least an 85 or an 84. As for Zion being an 86, I think Zion is probably already a better player than Jaylen Brown. But he obviously has only played 30 games in the NBA. So I think probably an 86 is pretty fair. Some other players whose ratings are yet to be revealed. Ben Simmons. He'll be an interesting player to rate because obviously injured for these playoffs, but we all know what a great player he is, but still has his problems. I could see him being an 88 on the same tier as Trae Young and Devin Booker. Brandon Ingram, a player who was an all-star last year. I think he'll probably be an 86 on the same tier as Zion Williamson. That sounds about right. So just to reiterate my top tier, I'd have LeBron at an 87, and then Giannis at an 86. I don't think Giannis is really the best of the rest after LeBron. Hasn't really proved it in the playoffs. Yes, he's a 2-time MVP, but it's really the playoffs that matter. And then I'd have Kawhi on the same tier as him. Obviously, didn't play great in these playoffs, but I'm not ready to just disregard the fact that he was the main player for the Raptors just a year ago, taking them to the championship. So LeBron 97, Kawhi and Giannis at 96, and then at 95, Harden, KD, Curry, and Luka, and Anthony Davis, of course. And at 93, Jimmy Butler and Damian Lillard. And then just below them, I'd have Jokic. I think those are probably a bit fair than just overrating Damian Lillard and James Harden. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think of the new 2K ratings in the comments below.